Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar, Find Your Perfect Real Estate Assistant with MAPS Coach Monica Reynolds. Please note this webinar is being recorded and you will automatically receive the webinar recording. If you guys have questions for your coach, please type them into the questions box located in your webinar taskbar. Following the webinar, if you do have any questions about today's call or coaching programs, please email us at fasttrack FASTTRACK at kw.com. That's all for me. Monica, take it away.
Thank you. All right, everyone. I just got kicked off the call. This is Monica Reynolds. There's nothing more frustrating. So we've had a few glitches with this webinar. So if that happens, just know I'm coming back. Just hang on. All right. So with that said, let's get started. So we're going to talk about how to find the perfect real estate assistant. And so if you're an agent, haven't hired one, this calls for you. If you're an assistant, this calls for you, because these will be some techniques and some tips for you to really up your game. And then if you're an agent who has an assistant, let's look at some of these things that I'm talking about to see where we need to focus on, because the best thing that has happened to real estate is a real estate assistant. And I started real estate walking around in the dark ages with dinosaurs about 40 years ago. We had cars, we did not have cell phones, and we did not have computers. And I knew right away that I was a great salesperson. I was not great at paperwork. I was not great at details and organizing and contracts. Oh my gosh, if I could tell you some of the wild, wild west days on contracts, that was fun. Contract was one page. I love those days. But anyway, with that said, hopefully some of my expertise will help you and give you some things to think about. So Stephanie, let's go to the next page, please. So if you have a question, you put it through the chat box, and Stephanie will ask you, or will read those questions out to me. So real quick, there is an assistant program July 9th that's launching. Again, I always say you're a realtor and you have a business when you hire an assistant. So are you a realtor, or do you have a business now and you hired an assistant? So let's go to the next page. We'll go through that more coming up. All right. So the first thing that I want to cover on this next page is for you to think about, does your budget, if you've never hired an assistant before, does it support another hire? And so you're always looking at about 3 months of salary put aside in a reserve account so that you're not stressed out. Now, of course, I did it the wrong way in the 70s, and I hired an assistant before I had that money put aside, and I said, well, we're just going to do this month to month. In my head, I didn't tell the hiree that. And so if I did X amount of business and I could afford it the next month, do X amount, I could afford it the next month. That's not really the right way to do it. So don't do it that way. So know your numbers. So, I wrote a book in the early 90s, wrote several of them. They're on Amazon. Don't buy them. The information in the Perfect Real Estate Assistant through MAPS is better information and more up to date, obviously, over the years. What's interesting, though, is that I put in that book, if you are anywhere from 40 to 45 transactions, you're approaching that, you cannot do more than one deal a week on your own. Your systems will blow up. You don't have customer service. You aren't organizing your database. There's so many technology things that you want to be able to leverage that off. And you can't do it all, especially now. And so what's interesting, I wrote that in the 90s, and Gary Keller put the same thing in his book in MREA in the 2000s. And he also used part of my ad that I've always used, which was great. So I want you guys to hear this, is that nothing has changed. However, price points have changed. So if you're in a luxury market, yes, it's going to be a little bit different. Maybe it's 15 to 20. If you're in a strong market and, you consistently are doing 30, then you do hire an assistant. That'll help you go to 40 and 50. So common sense, common sense, common sense. So how to get the right people on board? So for me, I'm a double D. I have hieroglyphic, writing, and I speak in short sentences to my assistant, Stephanie, who's on this call. We've worked together for 8 years plus now. And so I have imaginary conversations, and she knows how to handle those. And, there's a lot of nuances on how to handle someone who is a double D, triple D, whatever, and, can appear rude sometimes, rushed, and wants to get things done fast and always moving on to the next thing. However, in my world, may not be your world. I need a CSI. I need someone who is a C, who can cross the T's, dot the I's, who has a nice personality and has some energy. I don't want the Walking Dead around me. So I can't have a C that's C across the board with no S or no I. I need that also to feed into having the right people on board. You can never hire someone without a detailed, purposeful job description. I always recommend career visioning, but I also recommend that, you know, you have your T's crossed and your I's dotted. The job description, make a note, is always how you set expectations with that person you're interviewing, but it also is your training checklist. It is a training checklist. Have a 30, 60, 90-day plan? Well, obviously, I wrote the one for career visioning for an EA, and we're going to cover a little bit of that. And you got to have a great compensation plan. So I always believe in paying a fair wage. And I am of the carry the torch that an assistant is not a cul-de-sac job. There's opportunities, there's ways to make money, and other than just your salary. So when I hire someone, I hire them at a salary level, and I say your salary will never change. What can change are your bonuses, and we will talk about that, how you're going to be paid on each closing. So, you know, depending on what area you live in, because San Francisco has a different price point than, you know, Tupelo, Mississippi, which I'm very respectful of. So if you pay someone $25 a bonus on every closing, and that's the only thing that gets changed as they increase in their aptitude on the job, and definitely are growing in the job and creating new systems and really providing over-the-top customer service. I also believe in paying an assistant a referral fee from their friends, family, and past coworkers if they're licensed. If they're not licensed, I'll pay them a flat fee until they get licensed. And so should they be licensed? Absolutely. And so do I pay for reviews and referrals? Yes, a nominal amount. However, there are goals, and, you know, I'll talk about that coming forward too. So make sure your training program is in place. How can you not want to have your assistant trained properly? How can you not want to make that investment for your clients, for your future, for you? You know, we are great salespeople. If you're an agent on this call, we're not great trainers as a rule. You know, you have to work into that, develop that. And if you're a high D, you don't have the patience for that. Stephanie, next slide, please. So the next one you're going to take a look at, which is really important to think about, is this was from my great friend Mo Anderson. And Mo and I go way back. She was with Century 21 when I met her. And she used to hire me to come out and speak to her market centers, her offices in Oklahoma City. So when you're looking to hire people, don't just look at their resume. Make sure they are as good at a cultural match for your company. Spell out in detail what your expectations are, where and when they will work, what meetings and trainings they are expected to attend, what level of participation and support is expected. Now is the time to discover whether or not they are willing to adhere to your company standards. So standards are your standards. And when you lower your standards and you hire what I call a puppy is, let's think about a puppy. I'm going to bring a puppy to your office. Aren't they cute? Aren't they adorable? Oh, they're so sweet. Everybody loves a puppy. Who doesn't love a puppy? And yet a puppy in the office who everybody loves, and if you left that puppy in the office all day long, what do they do? What do they do? And so they can create messes here and there, and you're always cleaning up after them, and yet they're a puppy. So we don't want to hire any puppies. We want to hire a partner. We want to hire that secret weapon, that person that's going to take you to the next level. That is the most powerful thing you can do in real estate, is to hire the right assistant. Next page, please. Okay. So when you take a look at this page, and don't let this be daunting for you, this is an ad, and part of this ad, Gary took, believe it or not, and put it in his MREA book. You must be an organizer, positive person, a good communicator, both written and verbal, have excellent skills, a good sense of humor, be a quick learner, be a fast learner with a quick mind, be willing to work hard and smart. I wrote that ad in the 80s, okay? That ad still works today really, really great. You might want to paraphrase it, put it on Indeed.com. It's where most of Gary's Top 100 group go, which I'm involved in. And so with that said, that Top 100 group, they're using Indeed. They use a company called Wise Hire that you hire to ferret out some of the resumes, which is great. However you do it, whether it's Craigslist works sometimes for people, there's things that are local in your area, college bulletin boards, things like that. Okay, next slide, Stephanie. So what's good is that don't get frustrated if I talk too fast or I go too fast through the slides, because the recording and the slides will be sent to you. So let's talk real quick about the importance of a job description. Most people, most assistants say to me, the majority of the room will raise their hand and say they did not get hired with a job description. And a job description is a roadmap to success. It's clarity of expectations. It's duplicatable and scalable, meaning that when you have this job description and you hire your second assistant, you're going to be pulling off of that job description, creating a new one for the second assistant. If you follow the model, you hire your first assistant and your second assistant when you're going towards 75 transactions. Again, I know we have some questions in there. Hang on to those thoughts. I'll answer them toward the end. And here's the good news. All the questions will get answered, and this recording will be sent to you, like I said before. Okay, training checklist. Well, what's a training checklist? Well, duh. So you have to have some sort of training in place when you bring on an assistant. So how much time as an agent are you going to spend each day showing them how you want things done, how you want your clients treated, having them listen to your calls with clients, introducing them to clients. But most importantly, MAPS has provided a great training for you also. So the 6-month course is one call for you as an agent, helping you be a great boss and a great leader, and also sharing with you what your assistant will be learning so that you can help them be accountable for that. Next slide, Stephanie. So what we're going to cover here real quick are a couple of things. And so the 30, 60, 90. So they're specific, they're measurable, they're achievable, they're repeatable, and they're timely. So you guys have seen this. So let me share with you a little bit more. Next slide, Stephanie. Thank you. Okay. So on the first 30 days, we'd like the assistant to do everything. Closing, track numbers, P&L, answer the phone, run a lockbox, everything. And yes, the reality is, and when I was working with Career Visioning, they had sent me their 30, 60, 90, and I said, that isn't even possible, even in the realm of possibility, to have somebody get up and running and be great in 90 days. So here is my take on that. And I've been doing this and trained more assistants than anyone in the country. All right. So they have to learn how to handle the phone professionally, be able to pick up transfer calls, to explain to a client why you're not there and when to expect a call back, etc. So they have to learn the potential buyer, potential seller script. Now, some of you are listening here and you don't have a landline into your office. You only have your cell phone. Stop doing that. You're a business. What business do you know is run off of someone's cell phone? Stop that. Get a landline. Welcome to business. All right? So the potential buyer seller script, when a call comes in, they're handled immediately by your professionally trained assistant. I go through over 50 scripts with the assistant on our training calls, giving them the opportunity to learn these. And then, of course, you'd have to role play with them, called training, which I think would be absolutely critical. And the good news is when you're at the listing presentation, a sign call comes in, you didn't miss the call. You did not miss the call. And so the next thing is that, of course, handling the phone. The phone is the cash register. The cash register, when you make that phone ring, they handle it at the highest level. There's energy. There's compassion when there needs to be. There is understanding when there needs to be. They know how to handle the phone. They manage all the voicemails. They take care of all of those. I mean, just think about that phone as the cash register. Next thing that they learn in the first 30 days is the database. Tracking, the data entry, and hopefully, you will have them be on command. I will cover a few things on command, especially the pipeline, which is under opportunities. If you haven't seen that, go look at that. That is awesome, amazing. I put every master client that I coach on that pipeline. It's called opportunities. There are so many things with command right now that would be so perfect to get your assistant involved in at this stage versus later catching up. So data entry, tracking the database is your only asset. There's nothing else that is more valuable, but it's managing the emails, managing the campaigns, putting the 33 touch together, know how to clean up a database, and making sure that the database has complete name, address, phone number, and email. And the third thing on the first 30 days, is everything on a listing from A to Z. Pre-list package, confirming the appointment, seller feedback, open houses, Facebook coming soon, inventory, and obviously the communication to the seller. Now, on every single training I teach the assistant, you always use the agent's name. Hi, this is Stephanie with Monica Reynolds' office, Keller Williams. Monica asked, did I call you? Is this a good time to talk? Did I catch you at a good time? So I teach them that type of a script. The other thing is I teach them to always end a call. By the way, thanks for working with our team. We so appreciate your business. Is there anything else we can do to help your day? That's the Disneyland close. What would it be like to have a business where somebody had control of the phone, the cash register, and we're talking to your clients like that? So don't glaze over on me, but I know bold laws. And I would suggest, and I give them the script, that in my office, the listings were called every single day. Well, what do they say? Assistants say, I need to know what they say. Great, I put together 21 scripts. Next page, Stephanie, let's go to 60 days. So on the 60 days, which is so important, okay, there's the closing files that we start working on. They'll never be efficient at managing the repair. They can manage the repairs, but they can't negotiate repairs unless you train them to do that, and they are licensed. So again, I'm all about getting someone licensed. I think every real estate assistant should be licensed. And so those closing files, we start introducing that, tracking numbers, price reductions, again, starting some Excel spreadsheets on sources of business and tracking all of that. Maybe introduce one lead generation system. Again, you have copies of these slides, so don't get frustrated if I go too fast. Next page, Stephanie. So on the 90 days, what should they be? Where should they be at? All marketing, all listings, all pendings, database, phones and scripts, tracking numbers, goal monitoring, knowing on the 15th of the month to cause attention, giving you the information, so you pay attention is what I'm trying to say, that on the 15th you're behind goal or you're ahead of goal. If you're behind, you need to jack it up. What are you going to do the next 2 weeks? If you're on track, great, let's get more. So obviously lead generation systems, whether it's setting you up for expireds or FSBOs or whatever it happens to be, or any kind of marketing, those are the things that the assistants should be getting involved with. So also on day 90, everyone, you got 30, 60, 90, you're checking those off. Now, someone said to me, what happens if on day 30 they haven't completed those? Well, if there's sufficient reason why that hasn't been done, and I always say, agents own it. Did you train them? Did you teach them that? Were you able to go through that with them? If not, then you're going to extend that. If you've done everything to get that person there and they're not catching on, then maybe you need to have a fierce conversation with them and you to get them on track. And then firing should never be a surprise. Next page, Stephanie. Okay, so one of the things that I always promote is that you have to have over-the-top communication with your clients and with the agents I teach the assistants. So you should never, as an agent, hand over a listing without passing the baton correctly. So we're in a relay race, you know how they pass the baton and there's no slip-ups, and you put it firmly in the hand and the next guy goes, same thing here. So you never want an assistant to call someone and be Miss Happy or Mr. Happy-go-lucky and say, oh, we're so excited to help you sell your home. This is a divorce situation. Oh, by the way, the wife died. Oh, by the way, one of their children are seriously ill. So you have to know how to go into the call. So the tonality would thank you for working with us. Did I catch you at a good time? Would you like to reschedule the call? Great. I appreciate your situation. I appreciate what you're going through. I mean, you got to build that bridge of rapport. Now, if you think you can do all this on your own, awesome. However, we got a great program for you, which I teach, and I've been teaching this for, over 25 years. I'm scratching my head right now. I don't even know anymore. However, I love it. This is my one thing. This is what I do. You also got to pass the baton and talk about kids and pets. There's a situation, we've all known it as agents, where you list a house and there are their dog is their son. I'd like you to meet Tank. Tank's a 250-pound Rottweiler. Tank has his own couch and watches dog TV all day. He also has his own bedroom with his toys. So you don't want to say, so here's customer service. Hi, this is so-and-so with blah, blah, blah office. May I ask you, do you have any pets on the premise? Now that's customer service. Customer experience. I understand that you have an awesome family member, Mr. Tank. He sounds so cool. I'd love to meet him sometime. Now that's building the bridge of rapport, and that's what I talk a lot about. So list price, special circumstances, personality styles. So there's a real key on speaking the language. And you as an agent, if you're listening to this, and assistants, you should be able to determine immediately who that person is on that personality style. And there's some very key questions that you need to ask them, and all of a sudden it's very clear who they are. You can determine if they're a D, I, S, and C. You do not want to speak I to a D. They get completely annoyed. And you do not want to speak S to a C. They absolutely get annoyed on that. So we have to learn how to speak the language. They speak Italian, you speak Italian. 3-week honeymoon. So for the first 3 weeks, they're going to get over-the-top customer service. You're going to call within 1 hour. You're going to make sure all the contact, you've got an info, your first intro script, and then also building client relationships. And the 3-week honeymoon, this is a whole checklist system that gets the price reduction easily and magically within 3 weeks. 21 days of calls, they do not deviate from this at all. 10 calls in 10 days. That's for pendings. However, 21 days of the first listing, you'll get a price reduction every time, and the listing will get sold in 30 days or less. Some of your markets are faster, good, and some aren't. So this is for you. Next page, Ms. Stephanie. So what I want to share with you on this last slide, and then we'll go into a couple of questions here real quick. So the questions sometimes can be the most powerful part of the presentation, so I appreciate you guys doing that, and I will keep it on time. We will be done at the half hour. So this is a Friday report that I personally put together for my team. I had my buyer's agents do it and the assistants. I had a couple assistants push back at the time. I had 4, and one of them pushed back. I'm just too busy for this, and I said, well, I'm going to ask you to do it. So finally, after the second week, he comes up to me, and it was Charlie, and he says, you know what? I really appreciate doing this. It really makes me feel good at the end of the week. Takes 5 minutes or less. 5 things I accomplished to move the business forward, week 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Week high, week low, and what did you do to wow a customer? What did you do to wow a customer? So again, 5 things I accomplished to move the business forward, week high, week low, what did you do to wow a customer? Can you imagine, agents, if you got that every Friday, how great you'd feel? And assistants on this call. Can you imagine giving that to your agent? It cements down the value that you brought, the opportunities that you had and you solved and you fixed and things like that. So, I mean, it's just a great, great document. So, Stephanie, get ready to answer some of these questions. What's the next slide, please? Okay, so real quick, the next launch is July 9th. And if you go today and you put in the discount code WEB100, you can save $100 off. It's $195 per month. There are 6 months. There are 3 one-hour classes per month. They are live. They are not recorded. I don't do recorded. I do live because my material changes and improves all the time. So if you've been on the calls before, great to come back. The whole thing has changed. We've got Command and Kelly in there. And so with that said, there's 18 calls. The first call is for agents. The second and third call each month are for assistants. And so 3 calls per month. There's over 450 pages of a policy and procedures manual. There's over 50 scripts. There's over 75 checklists. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You're going to use mine as blueprints and fix them for your area so that every area has different things, make it indigenous to your area. So Stephanie, read the first question to me and let me take care of it.
Okay, Monica, the first question is, can you go into a little bit more detail about what you said regarding licensed assistants bringing referrals and their compensation for that?
Okay, so I'm a big believer in if you pay well, they stay. And everyone in the business, everyone on my team had an opportunity to make as much money as possible. In fact, I even told Stephanie, your salary is your salary. Your goal is to make more in referrals than you did from your salary. And I'll never forget the time she came back from the ladies' room at our office building and said, "Hey, I got a referral. They're buying $1 million house and they're paying cash." So that was pretty fun for her. So she's licensed, so she got paid 25% referral fee. If they're licensed and it's friends, family, past coworkers, not your current clients, not in your database, not from an open house that you did, and they just happened to ask, or not a current client. Remember, it's their sources of sphere of influence. Those people, I would pay a 25% referral fee if they're licensed. If they're not licensed, then I would pay them just a small bonus of $500 to $1,000, somewhere in there, with the thought of, you should get licensed. You'll get paid more. So it's an incentive to get them licensed. Okay. Next question, Stephanie.
Okay, the next question, Monica, is what are some key things to look for in a resume?
Well, thank you for saying that. So in a resume, I'll get 3 stacks. I'll put a stack I call Burger King, which means no admin experience. Nothing wrong with Burger King. I worked at a Kentucky Fried Chicken, got myself through college. All right. Second thing, but they don't have admin experience. Second thing, I'm looking for admin experience, the second pile. Third one is admin experience and real estate. So I have 3 piles. And so in those resumes, I'm looking for job longevity. If they've had more than 2 jobs in 2 years, I'm not interested. They're jumping around. They're not finding what they want. Something's going on. So I'm looking for some sort of length of job longevity. Okay. In a resume, I'm also looking at, some sort of background that causes me to get excited. So customer service at Nordstrom, I'd be looking at that. IT background. Oh, okay, that'd be good. We could use some help around here with computers. I'm looking at something that's going to set them apart and say that is one skill that we could really, really use. I'm looking, too, to see if they've had any leadership skills. Not always the case. Did they manage anything? Were they running anything? Did they have people reporting to them? I'm also looking to see if they've ever developed anything. Did they ever be on a team and develop this or that? So I want to see if they have a creative brain to them. So those are the things that I'm looking for. Next question, Stephanie.
Okay, do you recommend that your first assistant be in the office? And what are your thoughts on virtual assistants?
I think when you play at a level where you're doing over 50 transactions, you must have someone that you can have eyeballs on and you're talking to, and you say, because here's my world. Oh my gosh, Stephanie, pull together the pre-list package. I just got off the phone with this guy. He's in town for a few hours. I got to go there at 2 o'clock. Pull that, help me with the comps. Let's go. You can't do that with virtual. And you can't, there isn't that synergy sometimes. Now, I know virtuals can be on Skype and things like that, which is all great. My personal opinion, is that on a virtual, there are many things that they can do, marketing, database, etc., until you find the one that you feel is that you would trust speaking to your clients on a daily basis. And then you got to figure out the phone stuff. So if you're 50 plus, absolutely, you want to make sure you have someone in the office. Very rare that it works virtually. 50 and under, absolutely, you can hire a virtual to do some of the heavy lifting, like working on database, working on marketing, calling, getting a sign out and up and out. So those sort of things could work. Okay, next one, Stephanie.
Okay, so in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, Gary says to hire on a 90-day trial. Do you recommend that?
Well, yeah, I think when you present the 30, 60, 90, and I absolutely recommend that. I mean, there is a 30, 60, 90-day plan. So, of course, you're going to say, we're going to both decide in the next 90 days whether you want to work here and whether this is the right place for you, and we'll do this mutually. So I always say, yeah, it's a 90-day, because what happens when you see that to someone, this is a 90-day, probationary period, what happens is they work at the level you want them to work at. They step up their game. Now, if they know they're being hired on a 90-day probationary period and they don't step up their game and you hired a slug or slugette, you're going to know in the first 30 days to let them go. You don't need to wait 90 days. You can let them go sooner than that. Okay? Next question, Stephanie.
That was the end of the questions, Monica. Just perfect, right on time.
Yeah, perfect and right on time. Hey, everyone. Here's what I'm going to ask you. I have great fun on these calls. I love teaching assistants and agents how to go to the next level. You can double your business with the right assistant, and all you simply have to do is go to mapscoaching.com, sign up, put in Web 100. You'll get $100 off. I want to see you on the call July 9th. My email is monica@monicareynolds.com. Contact me anytime if you have any questions. I'm here to help. I'm here to serve. Thanks, everybody, for being on the call. I know you're busy. I appreciate your time. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.